why do you think it's important for people to think about refugees or to even care about refugees? Why is that important to you?
Because all of us are potentially refugees, you know, all of us came from somewhere. This planet is ours. I don't like the idea of being shut out of a country because of the color of my skin or the color of my passport. So I think we can all sympathize with that feeling of exclusion, that being called a refugee, you know, of being something that's unwelcome in society. We need to help people. You know, I think that art, whether it's music, songwriting, theater, literature, is a giant empathy machine. In other words, what it's good at is putting you in someone else's shoes and seeing the world through their eyes, with their sensibility, and sharing that common humanity. And often when people are in serious situations or dangerous situations, life-threatening situations, one, they're very interesting as human beings, but as a writer, that's a very, very fertile area to enter. And I remember looking at the pictures of the refugees coming across the Mediterranean from various war zones, and you know, all kinds of reasons they were leaving and seeking safety with their children and their families. And of course, as a fellow human being, putting myself in that situation is an important thing to do, because I have a family. I have many children and grandchildren, and what would I do in those circumstances? Well, of course, if the only alternative was to get in a boat and try and find safety, that's what we do. Human beings have done that for thousands of years. But the reasons they're doing it are not to freeload, are not to be a burden on people, but because it's basically an existential crisis, and they have to survive. They want their children to survive. So I imagine myself in a boat with my kid and my wife. How would I feel? And that phrase in Arabic, inshallah, which I think means, you know, in God we trust, or, you know, whatever God wills, we will accept. There's a humility in that. There's a courage in that. There's a sense of destiny in that. I found that very inspiring, and that became the central metaphor of the song. Here we are on this boat. We really don't know how safe we can be. The seas are heavy and the boat's small, and we're in danger. But you know, we are putting our faith in Providence, whatever you want to call it, God, Allah, destiny. And of course, we're all in that. All of us are in a boat, whether we know it or not. You know, all of us are facing existential crisis, you know, in terms of climate change, in terms of political turmoil, in terms of insecurity. So it's not that difficult to put yourself in that situation, because we actually are. Even in the West, even with our, you know, relative wealth and security, we can't guarantee that that's going to be forever. It has so many resonant, inshallah, ya la la. It's beautiful. And I think it communicates its meaning without necessarily understanding its literal meaning. You know what I'm saying? It's a little bit like Sanskrit. It communicates an idea without really understanding. It's a profound expression, rather than something that's just about language. It's something else inside. It's musical.
Yes, exactly. The music and the words are really communicate that feeling, and it's and so many different people will say it differently. Like someone will say inshallah, and some people will say inshallah, and it's very much dependent on context. So you're choosing it as so we'll look forward to experimenting with that if you're happy with that.
Please do that.
Yeah.